The hum of ancient machinery suddenly roared to life, reverberating through the cold, metallic walls. Grant Hayes stumbled back, his eyes wide with shock. "I swear I didn't even touch anything," he blurted out, his heart racing as the alien console lit up like a Christmas tree. Red lights flared across the room, casting long, eerie shadows. The air felt heavier, like the walls were closing in. Maya Brooks, the team's engineer, shot him a look that could kill. "Great, Grant, just great. Now what do we do?" She frantically tapped at the console, her fingers flying over the strange symbols. But nothing made sense. It was like trying to read a foreign language with the letters constantly shifting. Come on," she muttered more to herself than anyone else. Reed Lawson, the group's security chief, wasn't waiting around to see what happened next. He unsheathed his weapon, eyes narrowing as he scanned the room. "We need to get out of here," he said, his voice low but firm. "Now, whatever you triggered, it's coming." The sound of heavy metallic footsteps echoed from deeper within the outpost. It wasn't just the noise, it was the weight behind it, like something massive was moving towards them. Something ancient and angry. Grant swallowed hard, trying to keep his voice steady. "Maybe it's just a malfunction, right? It could just be—" A deep mechanical growl cut him off, sending a shiver down his spine. Whatever it wasn't friendly. The team exchanged tense glances, realizing they were no longer alone in this forgotten alien ruin. "All right, no more messing around," Reed snapped, his grip tightening on his weapon. "We move now. Maya, forget the console. Grant, stay close. We're getting out of here." But even as they turned to leave, the corridors around them began to shift, the walls sliding to block their escape. They were trapped, with something terrifyingly alien closing in. The walls continued to shift, sealing off any route of escape. Reed cursed under his breath. Of course, it had to be a trap. Maya tried to keep her hands from trembling as she looked around for another exit. "This place, it's like it's alive. We need to figure out what's controlling it before we're completely locked in." Grant, still reeling from the panic, nodded frantically. "There's got to be a control center, right? We just need to find it and shut this thing down." Reed wasn't so sure. The footsteps were getting louder, closer. "We don't have much time. We need to move. Now." As they sprinted down the narrowing corridor, the lights flickered, casting the alien symbols on the walls in a harsh, blood-red glow. The oppressive atmosphere made it hard to breathe, as if the outpost itself was trying to squeeze the life out of them. They turned a corner, only to come face to face with a massive door, its surface covered in intricate alien carvings. Maya approached it cautiously, her hands hovering over the symbols. "This looks like some kind of main chamber. Maybe we can—" Before she could finish, the door slid open with a heavy, grinding noise. On the other side stood the towering forms of the non-humanoid aliens. Their skin was a shifting mass of strange, iridescent colors, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. They were unlike anything the team had ever seen. More monstrous than humanoid, with elongated limbs and sharp, claw-like appendages. Grant froze, his breath catching in his throat. What are those things?" Reed didn't wait for an answer. "We're not sticking around to find out. Move!" But as they turned to flee, the walls behind them began to close in again, forcing them toward the chamber and the terrifying creatures that awaited them inside. Reed took the lead, his weapon still raised, but the tension in the air was almost unbearable. As they edged closer to the chamber, Grant couldn't help but mutter under his breath, "I'm really starting to miss the good old days when alien ruins just stayed ruined." Maya, despite the fear gnawing at her, cracked a small smile. "Yeah, remember when our biggest worry was running out of snacks on a mission?" Reed shot them both a look, but there was a glint of amusement in his eyes. "Focus, people. We get out of here, and I'll buy all the snacks you want." Grant chuckled nervously, trying to shake off the fear. "Deal. But if we don't make it, I'm haunting the vending machine back at base. Every time you go for a candy bar, it's going to get stuck." They approached the massive carved door cautiously. The non-humanoid aliens hadn't moved, but their glowing eyes tracked every step the team took. Maya whispered to Grant, "Any brilliant ideas on how to negotiate with them?" My alien phrasebook didn't cover "please don't eat us." Grant shrugged, keeping his voice low. I'm just hoping they're more scared of us than we are of them. Though considering they look like they could bench press a starship, I'm not feeling too confident. The door behind them slid shut with a loud thud, sealing them inside the chamber with the creatures. Reed sighed, his grip tightening on his weapon. Okay, so maybe I owe you both more than just snacks if we survive this. Maya grinned, despite the dire situation. A week off, too, and I get first dibs on any tech we find. Reed couldn't help but laugh, even as the aliens began to move towards them. Deal. But first, let's make sure we don't end up as alien sushi. The aliens moved with a predatory grace, their elongated limbs clicking against the metallic floor as they approached. Reed's heart pounded in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. We need a plan, and we need it now. Maya glanced at the strange device she had managed to pry from the console earlier. This thing might be a control panel for the outpost. If I can figure out how to use it, we might be able to turn the defenses against them. Grant, trying to keep his hands from shaking, nodded. So, you're saying we might have a shot at not dying horribly? Reed smirked, the adrenaline giving him a surge of determination. Let's go with that. Grant, you keep them distracted. Maya, see what you can do with that gadget. Grant's eyes widened. Wait, me? Distract them? How exactly am I supposed to? Before he could finish, one of the aliens lunged forward with terrifying speed. Without thinking, Grant ducked and rolled to the side, barely avoiding the creature's claws. Okay, distracting. I'm distracting. He scrambled to his feet, waving his arms like a madman. Hey, over here, you oversized glow sticks. The alien hissed, its eyes narrowing as it turned its attention fully to Grant. He gulped, muttering to himself, This was a terrible idea. Meanwhile, Maya was furiously working on the alien device, her fingers a blur as she tried to decipher its controls. Reed stood protectively beside her, firing off a few shots to keep the other aliens at bay. Got anything yet? Reed asked, his voice strained as he fired another blast that barely missed its mark. Almost. Just one more. Maya's eyes lit up as the device hummed to life. Yes, I've got it. The room shuddered as the walls began to glow with a faint blue light. The aliens paused, their heads twitching in confusion. Maya grinned triumphantly. I think I just turned on the security system. Let's see how they like it. Suddenly, beams of energy shot out from the walls, targeting the aliens with pinpoint accuracy. The creatures screeched in anger, darting around to avoid the blasts. Grant, still dodging, managed a breathless laugh. Maya, you're officially my favorite person. Reed grinned as he saw the tide turning in their favor. Nice work. Now let's get out of here before they figure out how to override it. With the aliens momentarily pinned down by the outpost's defenses, the team bolted for the far exit, their footsteps echoing in the chaos. But as they reached the door, it slid shut in front of them, trapping them inside once more. Reed cursed. Of course it wouldn't be that easy. Maya quickly scanned the door, trying to find a way to override the lock. Looks like they've got some kind of backup system. I'll need a minute. Grant, panting from the exertion, glanced over his shoulder at the alien creatures still dodging the beams. Not sure we've got a minute, Maya. Reed took a deep breath, steadying himself. Then we buy her time. We've come this far. We're not stopping now. Grant zigzagged across the room, trying to stay one step ahead of the alien creatures. As he darted behind a pillar, he couldn't help but notice how one of the creature's elongated limbs seemed to whip through the air. Why does that one look like a rejected Halloween decoration? He muttered, barely dodging another swipe. Maya, still working on the device, stifled a laugh. Grant, focus. We're a little busy over here. But Grant was on a roll. As another alien lunged at him, he ducked just in time and got a good look at its glowing eyes. And that one? What is it? The love child of a disco ball and a praying mantis? Reed fired off a shot, shaking his head with a grin. Grant, this really isn't the time. Grant dodged again, this time narrowly avoiding a creature that looked like it had too many limbs for its own good. Seriously, who designed these things? It's like someone mashed up a squid and a Swiss Army knife. The aliens hissed, clearly not amused by Grant's impromptu comedy routine, but they kept following him, their glowing eyes locked on their prey. Grant continued to run in circles, occasionally tossing over his shoulder. Anytime you want to finish up, Maya, that'd be great. Maya was frantically working, but she couldn't resist a quick comeback. Keep them distracted, funny man. Maybe your stand-up routine will confuse them long enough for me to crack this thing. Grant narrowly avoided another swipe, his heart pounding in his chest. If we get out of this, I'm demanding hazard pay. Also a drink. A big one. Reed couldn't help but chuckle as he blasted another alien that got too close. I'll buy you the biggest drink you've ever had if you keep those things off our backs for just a little longer. Grant sprinted past another alien, catching a glimpse of its strange, almost translucent skin. Great. Now we've got jellyfish with legs. What's next? A shark with wings? Maya finally let out a triumphant shout. Got it! The door's unlocking! Reed motioned for Grant to fall back. All right, Grant. Time to wrap up your set and get out of there. Grant bolted towards the now open door, the aliens hissing in frustration behind him. As he passed through, he couldn't resist one last jab. You know, for creatures from another galaxy, you guys could really use a makeover. The door slammed shut behind them, leaving the team panting and safe, for now. Maya leaned against the wall, catching her breath. Grant, I don't know how you do it, but you somehow made this whole thing bearable. Grant grinned, still catching his breath. What can I say? If we're going down, might as well go down laughing. The door slammed shut behind them, and the team had barely a second to catch their breath before the ground beneath their feet began to vibrate. This place is seriously trying to shake us off, Grant muttered, glancing around nervously. Is it just me, or does it feel like the floor is about to drop out from under us? Maya was still fiddling with her device, eyes glued to the holographic display. No kidding. It's like we're inside a giant pinball machine, and we're the ball. Reed, always the pragmatist, kept his weapon at the ready as he surveyed the darkened corridor ahead. Whatever this place is, it's not happy we're here. We need to find that power source and shut it down before we become permanent residents. They continued down the corridor, and as they approached a large, foreboding door, the vibrations grew stronger. Maya stopped short, her device emitting a series of beeps. This has to be it, she said, pointing at the door. The main power source is behind here. Grant eyed the door skeptically. Let me guess. It's going to open up and reveal a room full of killer robots or something equally terrifying. Maya shot him a look but couldn't help a smirk. Let's hope not, but if it does, I'm counting on you to keep them entertained. The door creaked open, revealing a massive chamber dominated by a pulsating energy core, surrounded by what looked like floating spheres of light. The air hummed with raw power, and the walls seemed to pulse in time with the core's energy. Grant blinked, momentarily speechless. Okay, so those things look like the love child of a plasma ball and a disco rave. Maya grinned as she approached the core, her fingers already working on her device. You've got a weird way of looking at things, Grant, but you're not wrong. Reed kept his eyes on the shadows, watching for any movement. Let's just focus on getting out of here in one piece. Maya, how long will it take to shut this thing down? Maya frowned as she studied the alien technology. Hard to say. This thing isn't exactly user-friendly. Give me a few minutes. Grant, sensing the tension, started pacing nervously. A few minutes? You mean a few minutes until this whole place decides to implode, right? Because I'm getting that kind of vibe. As Maya worked, Reed noticed something shifting in the corner of the room, something dark and ominous. He raised his weapon. We've got company. Grant turned to see what Reed was looking at, and his eyes widened. You've got to be kidding me. That thing looks like a mix between a centipede and a bulldozer. The creature emerged fully into the light, revealing its true form. A massive, armored being with too many legs to count, and a set of mandibles that clicked menacingly. Grant gulped, then forced a grin. All right, big guy. I don't suppose you're interested in playing fetch, are you? Reed fired a warning shot, but the creature only seemed to get angrier. Grant, I think it's more of a chase kind of creature. And guess who's the target? As the creature charged, Grant took off running, dodging between the pulsating spheres and calling over his shoulder. Maya, anytime you want to wrap up that shutdown would be great. Maya's fingers flew over the alien controls as she muttered, "Working on it. Just keep doing what you're doing. Whatever that is." Grant, still sprinting, barely avoided a swipe from the creature's claws. "What I'm doing is trying not to get eaten. So far, I'm giving myself a solid B+. Reed provided cover fire, trying to slow the creature down. "Keep it busy, Grant. Maya, we're running out of time." Maya finally let out a triumphant shout. "Got it! The core's powering down." The room's lights dimmed, and the hum of the energy core faded, leaving the chamber eerily silent. The creature paused, confused by the sudden change, giving Grant a moment to catch his breath. "Okay," Grant panted. "I think I have officially had enough excitement for one day." Reed nodded, his eyes still on the creature as it slowly backed away into the shadows. "Let's move before it changes its mind." The team quickly exited the chamber, leaving behind the strange pulsating energy core and the alien creature that had nearly turned them into dinner. As they made their way through the now quiet corridors, Grant couldn't resist one last comment. "You know, I'm starting to think we should have stuck to exploring the nice, safe, boring ruins back on Earth." Maya chuckled, still riding the adrenaline high. "Where's the fun in that, Grant? Besides, what's a little life-threatening danger between friends?" The corridors had finally quieted, but there was still a nagging feeling that something wasn't right. As Reed led the way, Maya and Grant followed close behind, moving cautiously toward what they hoped was the exit. Just as they were nearing the door, Maya's device beeped again. "Wait a second," Maya said, glancing at the readout. "I'm picking up another energy source. It's small and close." Grant sighed. "What now? We were just about to get out of here." Maya held out the device, guiding them to a nearby side door. When it slid open, they saw a small, pulsating orb, almost like a cocoon. Inside, something shifted. Reed approached cautiously, weapon at the ready. "This thing, it's alive." Maya moved closer, examining the orb as it pulsed gently. Then suddenly, the orb cracked open, revealing a small creature. It blinked up at them with large, luminous eyes, scanning the room before locking onto Grant. Without hesitation, it reached out tiny arms toward him. Grant took a step back. What is that?" The creature cooed softly and began crawling toward Grant, its little limbs awkwardly pushing it forward. Grant hesitated, but the creature clung to his legs with its tiny claws. Maya couldn't help but smile. "I think it thinks you're its parent, Grant." Grant stared down in disbelief. "Is this some kind of joke? We're collecting alien babies now." The creature nuzzled against Grant's leg, its soft, chittering sounds pulling at his heartstrings. "Great. Now I'm an alien dad." Reed considered the situation, his brow furrowed. "We can't spend more time here. Are we really taking that thing with us?" Grant carefully scooped the little creature into his arms, pausing for a moment. "We can't just leave it here. Look at it. It's already attached to me." Maya grinned. "So, what's its name? What do we call it?" Grant looked into the creature's bright eyes. "We'll have time to think about that later. Right now, let's just get out of here." The team hurried toward the exit, the little creature still clinging tightly to Grant. As they made their way outside, it became clear that the alien baby was determined to stay with them. Grant shook his head with a soft smile. Looks like leaving it behind isn't an option anymore. As they finally made it out of the alien facility and into the cold, harsh light of the alien planet's surface, the team couldn't help but take a moment to catch their breath. The facility loomed behind them, silent now, its mysteries locked away, at least for the time being. The little alien baby nestled in Grant's arms cooed softly, its large eyes blinking up at him with an innocent trust that tugged at his heart. Grant sighed, still somewhat in disbelief. "Well, kiddo, looks like you're stuck with us." Reed looked around, scanning the barren landscape. "We need to find a way back to the shuttle. We've spent too much time here already, and who knows what else this planet has in store for us?" Maya nodded, her eyes lingering on the baby for a moment before she focused back on the task at hand. "Agreed. Let's move quickly. We can't afford to be sitting ducks out here." As they made their way back to the shuttle, the little alien clung tightly to Grant, its small hands gripping his uniform, as if afraid he might disappear. Despite the urgency of their situation, Grant couldn't help but feel a strange sense of responsibility toward the creature. He had never expected to find himself in this situation, but now that he was, there was no turning back. The journey back to the shuttle was uneventful, but the tension among the group was palpable. They had survived the alien facility, but they all knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and the unknown was still out there, waiting. Once they reached the shuttle, they wasted no time boarding. Reed took the pilot's seat, quickly powering up the systems, while Maya secured their new passenger in a makeshift cradle, using whatever supplies they had on hand. Grant sat beside the cradle, watching as the little alien settled in, its eyes half closed in exhaustion. "Looks like we're really doing this," he murmured. Maya glanced over, a soft smile playing on her lips. "It'll be okay, Grant. We'll figure it out. Besides, maybe this little one is exactly what we need. A reminder of what we're fighting for." Reed chimed in from the cockpit, his voice steady. "We're clear for takeoff. Let's get out of here." The journey back to Earth was long, but the crew finally felt a sense of relief settling in. The alien facility was behind them, and they were heading home. Grant leaned back in his seat, a smile playing on his lips as he glanced over at Maya, who was seated next to the makeshift cradle they had rigged up for their new alien passenger. Maya gave Grant a playful nudge. "Looks like we're going to be parents, huh?" Grant chuckled, rubbing his tired eyes. "Yeah, who would have thought? Let's just hope our little friend here stays calm until we get back." Reed, seated in the pilot's chair, allowed himself a rare moment of relaxation. "We deserve a break after all that. A little peace and quiet wouldn't hurt." But just as the words left his mouth, a piercing wail filled the cabin. The alien baby, who had been peacefully sleeping, suddenly woke up and started crying loudly, its small body shaking with the force of its sobs. Grant's eyes widened in panic. Okay. Maya, any idea how to quiet this thing down?" Maya quickly unstrapped herself and leaned over the cradle, trying to soothe the baby with soft words and gentle pats. "Shh, shh, it's okay, little one. We're here. You're safe." But the baby was inconsolable. Its cries grew louder, reverberating off the metal walls of the shuttle. Grant joined Maya, the two of them desperately trying to calm the baby down. "Come on, buddy," Grant pleaded. "You were so peaceful just a minute ago." Reed turned in his chair, concern etched on his face. "What's going on back there? Can't you get it to stop?" Maya shook her head, exasperated. "I'm trying. It's like it suddenly decided to have a meltdown." Just as they thought the situation couldn't get worse, the alien baby let out a loud, gurgling sound. Before anyone could react, it turned its head toward Reed and, with surprising precision, vomited a thick, greenish fluid directly onto his head. Reed froze, his hands gripping the controls as the warm, slimy substance dripped down his face. Grant and Maya stared in stunned silence for a moment before bursting into uncontrollable laughter. Maya quickly grabbed a cloth and tried to help clean up Reed, who sat there, his expression a mix of disbelief and resignation. "Great, just great. This is exactly how I imagined this mission would end." Grant, still chuckling, wiped away tears of laughter. "Hey, Reed, at least it wasn't acid or something. Could have been worse." Reed shot him a look, but there was a hint of a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Let's just get this over with." They managed to clean up Reed and get the alien baby back into its cradle. The baby had finally calmed down, its eyes drooping as it drifted back to sleep. The crew settled back into their seats, exhaustion finally catching up with them. But just as they thought they could finally relax, a foul smell began to waft through the cabin. Grant's nose wrinkled in disgust. "Oh, no? Tell me that's not what I think it is." Maya leaned over the cradle, only to recoil in horror. "Yep, it is. Our little friend here just had an accident." Reed groaned, his head leaning back against the seat. "This mission never ends, does it?" The team exchanged tired but amused glances. Grant sighed and got up. "Well, guess it's time for a diaper change. Who knew saving the galaxy would come with so much babysitting?" As the crew dealt with the final mess of their journey, they couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. They had faced down terrifying aliens, escaped a deadly outpost, and now they were cleaning up after an alien baby. And somehow that felt like the perfect end to their wild adventure.